The email from my mother hit like a punch to the gut. Alexandra, the company is dying. We need your signature on the merger papers or everything your father built will be gone. After 5 years of silence since she told me my love for Nicole made me dead to the family here, she was begging for my help. I stared at the screen in our Seattle apartment, the morning light filtering through the blinds as Nicole poured coffee, her steady presence the only thing keeping me grounded. The subject line read urgent family matter, and the body was short-clipped and desperate. No hello, no apology, just the raw need that had brought her crawling back. I read it twice, then set the phone down, my hands trembling not from fear but from the flood of memories I had spent years burying. Nicole turned from the counter, her eyes soft with understanding. What is it, Alex? She asked, setting the mugs on the table. My mother, I said, the words tasting bitter. She needs me to save the company. I had not spoken to Margaret Harrington in 5 years, not since the night she stood in the doorway of our Atlanta home and declared that my relationship with Nicole was a phase that would destroy our family name. Back then I was 28, fresh out of business school, working at Harrington Logistics, the family empire my father had built from a single truck into a national powerhouse. Nicole and I had met at a charity gala in Chicago where she was speaking about education equity for immigrant kids, and I was there representing the company. Her laugh, her passion, her way of seeing the world beyond balance sheets had pulled me in like gravity. We dated quietly at first, long-distance calls and weekend flights, until I knew she was the one. When I brought her home for Thanksgiving, the table went silent. Mother smiled tightly at first, but as the evening wore on, the questions turned sharp. Are you sure this is what you want, Alexandra? She asked later in the kitchen, her voice low. This life, it is not for us. The next morning she confronted us both, her face flushed with anger. I will not watch you throw away everything for this, she said, pointing at Nicole as if she were the problem. Father sat silent, his hands folded, the disappointment in his eyes heavier than any words. My sister Lauren nodded along, murmuring about what the club would say, and my brother Marcus stormed out, slamming the door with words I still hear in nightmares. They gave me an ultimatum: cut ties or be cut off. I chose Nicole. We packed our lives into a U-Haul and drove west to Seattle, where I started my own consulting firm helping small businesses fight corporate giants. Nicole got a teaching job at an inner-city school, and we built something real: quiet mornings, shared dinners, weekend hikes where we talked about everything and nothing. The pain of family rejection lingered, but her love made it bearable. Now 5 years later, the email changed everything. Harrington Logistics was facing bankruptcy after a major client scandal and a string of bad investments. The merger with Vanguard Group, a cutthroat competitor, was the only lifeline, but the clause in Father's will required my signature as the 25% shareholder. He had left me in a moment of quiet rebellion, perhaps. I closed the laptop and looked at Nicole. She deserves nothing from me, I said, but the words felt hollow. She sat beside me, her hand covering mine. You don't owe them anything, but you owe yourself the chance to decide what kind of person you want to be now, she replied, her voice calm yet firm. We spent the day talking through the past, the nights I had cried after their silence, the holidays spent alone, the way Lauren had leaked our relationship to the local paper, causing a wave of whispers that cost me early clients in Atlanta. By evening I had booked 2 tickets to New York, where the company had relocated its headquarters after Father's death. Nicole insisted on coming. I need to see this through with you, she said, packing her bag. The flight was quiet, my mind racing with what ifs. What if I walked away and let the empire crumble? What if I helped and the price was my soul? As the plane descended over the glittering skyline, I felt the old weight return, but this time I was not the girl they had cast out. I was the woman who had survived them. The next morning we checked into a midtown hotel, and I emailed Mother back. 1 meeting. No promises. Her reply came instantly. Thank you. The boardroom is ready. Nicole and I walked the streets of New York, hand in hand, the familiar buzz of the city reminding me how far I had come. We stopped at a small cafe where she ordered my usual latte, and we sat watching the crowds. Whatever you decide, I am with you, she said, her eyes steady. But remember, they broke us once, do not let them break you again. I nodded, but inside the conflict churned. Part of me wanted to watch them fall, the part that still carried the scars of being called unnatural and selfish. Another part, the daughter who once sat on Father's lap listening to stories of building the business from nothing, whispered that legacy mattered. By the time we reached the sleek glass tower of Harrington Logistics, my resolve was steel. Mother waited in the lobby, her designer suit impeccable, but her eyes red-rimmed. Alexandra, she said, reaching out, then stopping as if unsure. Nicole stood tall beside me, a silent shield. Let's get this over with, I replied, leading the way to the elevator. The ride up was silent, the air thick with unspoken history. When the doors opened to the executive floor, the boardroom loomed like a battlefield, and I knew the real fight was just beginning. Inside, the long mahogany table gleamed under recessed lights. Margaret sat at one end, my sister Lauren beside her, both avoiding Nicole. The lawyers shuffled papers, the merger documents thick with clauses that could save or doom 500 families. Mother cleared her throat. The deal requires your approval, Alexandra. Without it, the bank calls the loan and we lose everything. I leaned back, crossing my arms. Tell me why I should care after what you did to us. Lauren shifted uncomfortably, but Mother pressed on. Your father wanted the family to stay together even if he never said it. This is bigger than old hurts. I laughed without humor. Old hurts. You called my love a sin, you cut me off, you let the world know I was no longer your daughter. Nicole squeezed my knee under the table, her touch grounding me. The room fell quiet, the lawyers exchanging glances. Mother looked down at her hands, the first crack in her armor. We were wrong, she whispered, but the words felt too late. I stood up, pacing the room, the city skyline mocking me through the floor-to-ceiling windows. 5 years of silence, 5 years of birthdays ignored, 5 years of building my life while you pretended I did not exist. Now you need me. The irony is not lost. Nicole spoke, then her voice clear and measured. Alex does not owe you forgiveness, but she does owe herself peace. Whatever she decides, I support. Mother glanced at Nicole for the first time, the prejudice flickering, then fading into desperation. The meeting stretched for hours, details of the crisis pouring out, the lawsuit, the lost contracts, the board breathing down their necks. By the time we left, the sun was setting and my mind was a whirlwind. Back at the hotel, Nicole and I ordered room service and talked late into the night. I do not know if I can help them, I admitted, staring at the ceiling. But the condition I set will make them pay for every tear. She kissed my forehead. Just make sure the price does not cost you more than they are worth. Sleep came fitfully, the decision looming like a storm on the horizon. The morning after the first meeting, I woke to the sound of Nicole's steady breathing, her arm draped across my waist. The New York traffic hummed 30 floors below, but inside our hotel room the world felt small and heavy with choice. I slipped out of bed and stood at the window, the skyline a reminder of the power my family still wielded and the power I now held. Mother had texted overnight. Lunch at the family townhouse. Neutral ground. I showed Nicole the message and she nodded. I will be there if you want me. We took a cab uptown, the streets blurring past as I rehearsed my words. When we arrived, the brownstone looked the same as I remembered, ivy climbing the facade, the brass knocker gleaming. Mother opened the door, her face softer than the day before. Come in, she said, stepping aside. Nicole and I entered the foyer, the familiar scent of lemon polish and old money hitting me like a wave. Lauren waited in the living room, her posture rigid. We sat around the coffee table, the merger folder open between us. Mother poured tea, her hands steadier now. The board is panicking, Alexandra. Vanguard will take over, but they want assurances. Your signature is the key. I sipped the tea, the warmth doing nothing to ease the knot in my stomach. Assurances, I repeated. Like the assurance you gave me that I was still your daughter. Lauren flinched but said nothing. Mother set her cup down. I know we hurt you. The church, the club, the family, name it all felt like it was slipping away. But your father never stopped believing in you. He put that clause in the will for a reason. Nicole leaned forward, her voice calm. The reason does not erase the damage. Alex left Atlanta broken. We rebuilt together. The room grew tense, the grandfather clock ticking like a countdown. I stood and walked to the fireplace, the photos on the mantel showing only the approved family, no trace of me after 28. Where is Marcus? I asked suddenly. Mother hesitated. He is handling the Atlanta office. He sends his regrets. Regrets? I scoffed. The last time I saw him he told me I was an embarrassment to the family name. Lauren finally spoke, her voice sharp. He was angry. We all were. But this is business. I turned to face them, my decision forming like steel and fire. I will consider the signature, but I have conditions. Mother leaned forward, hope flickering in her eyes. Name them. Not yet, I said. First I want the full picture. Tell me every detail of how you let it get this bad. The afternoon unfolded in layers of confession. The lawsuit stemmed from a faulty contract Marcus had pushed through, a shady supplier that contaminated shipments. The investments had been desperate moves after father died and the market shifted. 500 jobs, real people with families depended on this merger. I listened, the numbers painting a picture of collapse that pulled at something deep inside me, the daughter who had once proudly worn the Harrington name. Nicole watched me closely, knowing the war inside. When the sun dipped low, Mother walked us to the door. "Think about it," she said, her voice almost pleading. "For your father's sake." Outside on the sidewalk, Nicole took my hand. "You are shaking," she said. "I am angry," I replied. "Angry that part of me still cares." We walked to Central Park, the paths familiar from my college days. Sitting on a bench with hot dogs from a cart, we talked it through. "They treated us like we were the disease," I said, biting into the bun. "Now they want the cure from me." Nicole rested her head on my shoulder. "Forgiveness is not weakness, Alex. But demanding respect is not cruelty either." That night back at the hotel, I called my lawyer in Seattle, confirming the will details. My veto was ironclad. No merger without me. The power felt both empowering and terrifying. Nicole fell asleep first, her breathing even while I stared at the ceiling, replaying every slight, every tear. By dawn I had a plan, forming the condition that would force them to face what they had done. It was not revenge, it was justice, wrapped in the only language they understood: money and legacy. The second meeting was set for the following day at the boardroom. I arrived early, Nicole by my side, dressed in a simple blouse that radiated quiet strength. Mother and Lauren were already there, the lawyers hovering. Marcus had flown in overnight, his face tight with resentment. "Alexandra," he said, nodding curtly, "no embrace, no apology." We sat and the presentation began, charts showing red ink everywhere. The merger would save the core business but require layoffs in Atlanta. I watched their faces, the fear, the calculation. When it was my turn to speak, I kept it short. "I understand the stakes. But before I sign, I need to know you have changed." Mother blinked. "Changed how?" I smiled thinly. "That comes later. For now, know that the price will be high." The room erupted in murmurs, Marcus muttering under his breath. Nicole remained silent, her presence a reminder of what mattered most. As we left the building, I felt the tension rising like a tide. The condition was taking shape in my mind: public acknowledgement of our relationship, a donation to the LGBT Youth Center Nicole volunteered at, and an apology that would be recorded for the company archives. It would cost them pride but save their empire. Whether I could live with the fallout was the question that kept me awake again that night. The boardroom felt smaller the second time around, the air thick with the scent of expensive cologne and desperation. Marcus sat across from me, his jaw set the same way it had been the night he had called me a disgrace in front of our cousins. Mother presided at the head of the table, her pearls a symbol of the world she refused to let crack. Lauren flipped through documents, avoiding my eyes. Nicole sat beside me, her notebook open, taking notes like the teacher she was, documenting everything for my protection. The lawyers droned on about timelines and liabilities, but I barely heard them. My mind was on the condition, the words I would soon speak, that would either heal or destroy what remained of us. When the presentation ended, I cleared my throat. "I have decided to sign." Gasps of relief filled the room, but I raised my hand. "On my terms." Mother leaned forward, her eyes wide. "Anything, Alexandra. Name it." I looked at each of them, in turn, the family that had once been my world. "First, a public statement from you, Mother, acknowledging that my relationship with Nicole is valid and worthy of the same respect as any other in this family. Second, a $1 million donation in your name to the Rainbow Youth Shelter where Nicole works. Third, Marcus, you will issue a written apology for the article you leaked 5 years ago." The room went dead silent. Marcus slammed his hand on the table. "You cannot be serious. That was private family business." I smiled coldly. "So was my life." Lauren looked between us, her face pale. "Mother, this will ruin our reputation in Atlanta." Mother raised a hand, silencing them, her gaze locked on mine. "Alexandra, we cannot. The social fallout, the board, the clients." I stood up, gathering my papers. "Then I guess the company dies." Nicole rose with me, her hand in mine. As we reached the door, Mother called out, "Wait." Her voice cracked. "Let us discuss this privately." The lawyers filed out, leaving only family. Marcus paced the room, his face red. "You are using our crisis to punish us." I turned to him. "Punish? You outed us to the papers, Marcus. You told the world I was sick. Nicole lost friends at her school because of the whispers you started." He stopped pacing, the guilt flickering before he masked it with anger. "I was protecting the family." Nicole spoke, then her voice steady. "Protecting by destroying 2 people who loved you. The room fell quiet again. Mother sat down heavily, her shoulders slumping. I never wanted it to go this far. Your father begged me to reach out, but I was ashamed. Ashamed of what I asked, my voice rising. Of me or of what people would say. She looked at Nicole for the first time without disdain. Of failing as a mother. The admission hung in the air, raw and unexpected. Lauren wiped a tear. I followed Mother's lead. I am sorry, Alexandra. I was young and scared. Marcus crossed his arms, refusing to yield. I will not apologize for believing in tradition. I stared at him, the brother I had once idolized. Then the merger dies with your pride. Mother stood and walked to the window, her back to us. Give us time to think. 24 hours. I nodded. 24 hours. Outside in the hallway, Nicole hugged me tight. You were strong, she whispered. But are you okay? I nodded, but inside the conflict raged. Part of me felt powerful, the other part hollow. That evening we walked through Times Square, the lights blinding but my mind clear. The condition was not just for them, it was for me to reclaim the power they had taken. Back at the hotel, I called the shelter director, confirming the donation details. Nicole listened, her eyes full of love. Whatever happens, we have each other. Sleep came hard, the faces of my family haunting my dreams, the little girl who once sought their approval, now the woman demanding it. The next day the call came early. Mother. We agree, but with modifications. I met them alone this time, Nicole waiting at the hotel. The boardroom was tense, Marcus absent, claiming a flight back to Atlanta. Mother slid a draft statement across the table. It was carefully worded, acknowledging my happiness without full endorsement. Pushed it back. Not enough. It must say our love is real and deserving of celebration. Lauren argued the donation amount too high, the company cash-strapped. I reminded them of the alternative, bankruptcy. Hours passed, negotiations turning heated. Mother finally agreed to the full terms, but her eyes held a new pain. This will change everything, she said. That is the point, I replied. As I left the building, the weight lifted slightly, but new doubts crept in. Had I become the bully they once were? Nicole met me at the hotel with takeout and open arms. You did what you needed to, she said. But the real victory is walking away whole. We ate in silence, the city lights twinkling outside. The signing was set for the next morning. I lay awake wondering if the price I demanded would truly set me free or chain me to the past forever. The night before the signing, I paced the hotel room, the carpet wearing thin under my feet. Nicole watched from the bed, her book forgotten. You are spiraling, Alex, she said softly. Talk to me. I stopped and sat beside her, the words tumbling out. What if they agree and then resent me forever? What if the donation helps kids but costs jobs elsewhere? She took my hands, her touch warm. You are not the villain for asking them to own their prejudice. They hurt us deeply. I nodded, but the inner voice whispered otherwise. The betrayal by Lauren still stung, the way she had smiled at the country club while the rumors spread. Marcus' absence felt like another knife. I remembered the night they all gathered without me after the leak, the family photo that excluded me forever. Nicole pulled me close. Remember the first time we said I love you in that little park in Chicago? The world did not end then, and it will not end now. Her words anchored me, and we fell asleep tangled together, the steady rhythm of her heartbeat my only peace. Morning came too soon. We arrived at the tower together, the security guard nodding recognition. The boardroom was full this time, lawyers, board members, and Mother at the head. Marcus had returned, his face a mask of stone. The documents were laid out, my signature line glaring. Mother spoke first. We have prepared the statement. It will go out today. The donation is wired. Marcus will sign the apology. I read every line carefully, the words finally right. Public acceptance. No more hiding. No more shame. I picked up the pen, the room holding its breath. Then Marcus spoke. This is extortion. You are no better than the people you claim to fight. The words hit hard, echoing the doubts I had fought all night. Nicole stood beside me. She is fighting for what you denied her. Mother raised her hand. Enough. Alexandra, sign if you are ready. I hesitated, the pen heavy. Flashes of childhood, birthdays, family vacations, the pride in Father's eyes when I graduated all collided with the pain of rejection. I signed. The ink dried and the room exhaled. Mother nodded, tears in her eyes. It is done. The merger is approved. As the lawyers cheered quietly, I felt no triumph, only exhaustion. Outside in the hallway, Lauren approached. I was wrong, she said. I hope one day you can forgive. I looked at her, the sister I had lost. Time will tell. Nicole and I left the building, the autumn air crisp. We walked to Central Park, the same bench where we had talked days before. She rested her head on my shoulder. You paid a high price, but you kept your integrity. I nodded, but the question lingered. Had I demanded justice or simply mirrored their cruelty? The weeks that followed brought mixed news. The merger went through, jobs saved, but the public statement made waves in Atlanta society. Mother called once, her voice tentative. The club is talking, but the company is stable. Thank you. I hung up without answering, the internal battle unresolved. Nicole and I returned to Seattle, our life resuming but changed. I threw myself into work, the firm growing stronger. Yet at night the faces returned. One evening as we sat on our balcony watching the rain, Nicole asked the question I feared. Do you regret it? I thought long. No, but I wonder if they learned or just complied. She smiled sadly. That is the price of power. The awakening came slowly. I realized the real victory was not the signature but the strength to set boundaries. Family was not blood alone, it was the woman beside me who had never wavered. Yet the moral cost remained a shadow I would carry. Months later an invitation arrived from Mother. A small gathering in Atlanta. Neutral. I showed it to Nicole. Should we go? She shrugged. Your choice. The decision weighed heavy, but in the end I declined. Some bridges needed time. The experience had taught me that forgiveness was not a transaction but a journey. And I was still walking it. The merger closed 2 weeks after the signing, the news hitting the business pages with headlines about Harrington's dramatic save. I watched from Seattle, the stock ticker climbing as Nicole graded papers at the kitchen table. You did that, she said without looking up. I nodded, but the satisfaction was muted. Mother sent a bouquet of flowers with a card that read, "Thank you for your mercy." The words felt hollow. Marcus emailed the apology, a stiff paragraph admitting his role in the leak but no real remorse. Lauren texted once asking for coffee next time I was in town. I ignored them, all the wounds too fresh. Nicole noticed my distance. You are carrying them still, she said one night over dinner. Let it go. I tried. I threw myself into client meetings, the firm expanding, hiring 2 new analysts. The shelter sent a thank you letter, the donation already funding new programs. Nicole took me to the opening event where kids painted banners of hope. Seeing their smiles, the ones who faced the same rejection I had, softened something in me. Yet the family silence gnawed. A month later Mother called. The board wants to thank you in person. A small dinner. I declined again, but the call stirred the conflict anew. Was I punishing them or protecting myself? Nicole and I talked for hours that night, her perspective always balanced. They hurt us deeply, but holding the grudge hurts you more. I knew she was right, but the fear of opening the door again kept me distant. The social media storm from the statement had died down, but old friends from Atlanta reached out, some supportive, some judgmental. One message from a cousin read, "You made them bow. Is that what you wanted?" The question haunted me. In the office the next day I closed a big deal, the kind that would have made Father proud. Yet the pride felt tainted. That evening I sat with Nicole on the couch, the rain tapping the windows. I think I need to see them one more time, I said. To close the chapter. She nodded. I will come if you want. We booked the flight for the following weekend. The townhouse looked the same, but the atmosphere had shifted. Mother greeted us at the door, her hug tentative. Marcus was there, stiff but civil. Lauren had baked a pie, the gesture awkward but genuine. We sat in the living room, the conversation stilted at first. The company is turning around, Mother said. Thanks to you. I nodded. The statement helped too. Marcus cleared his throat. I meant what I wrote. It was wrong. The apology landed softly, the first real crack. Nicole shared stories from her classroom, the kids who reminded her of us. Slowly the tension eased. By dessert, Mother asked about our life in Seattle, the wedding plans we had started discussing. It was not full acceptance, but it was a start. As we left, Marcus shook my hand. I am glad you signed. I replied the condition was necessary. He nodded, no argument. On the plane home, Nicole held my hand. You faced them and survived. The awakening felt complete. I had demanded the price and they had paid, but in the process I had reclaimed my voice. The drama had tested every part of me, the family pressure, the prejudice, the moral tightrope. Yet I emerged stronger, the love with Nicole, the constant light. The journey was not over, but the path was clearer. The months after the dinner brought a fragile peace. Mother called monthly updates on the company, small talk about the garden. Lauren sent photos from family events, including me in the group chat for the first time in years. Marcus remained distant, but the hostility had faded. Nicole and I planned our commitment ceremony, a simple affair in Seattle with friends and the shelter kids. I invited the family, no expectation. Mother accepted. The day arrived sunny and full of laughter. Mother stood in the front row, her eyes misty as Nicole and I exchanged vows. The statement she had made public now lived in her actions. After the ceremony, she pulled me aside. "I was wrong for so long," she said. "Thank you for giving me the chance to be right." The words healed a wound I thought permanent. Nicole hugged her, the moment genuine. Back in our hotel that night, we reflected on the road. The betrayals, the confrontations, the trade-offs had all led here. I had paid the price of demanding respect, and they had paid the price of giving it. The company thrived, the shelter grew, and our love stood unbreakable. Yet as I lay beside Nicole, the final question echoed in my mind. In forcing my family to accept us through the leverage of their desperation, did I choose the right path, or did the ends justify the means in a way that mirrored the very prejudice I fought against?